Hello and welcome back to the Odds Now YouTube channel for your Thursday preview of all the action at the PDC World Championship at Alexandra Palace. Well, Wednesday, we only had an evening session, but we're back to double time, afternoon and evening, which means we've got 8 matches to work our way through on Thursday. Just a very quick recap of yesterday. Good 2-1 winner on the anti-post picks and the daily pick, with Madas Razma to win, but Kiss to hit the most 180s. Obviously, Kiss hitting a 9-darter as well in defeat, but that was a good winner for us. And we also had a winner in the Ricky Evans match, Evans to win with the most 180s. Unfortunately, my record of picking 3-0s that end up being 3-1 continued. It's almost laughable now. That's 5 3-0 correct scores I've put up since the start of the tournament. They've all finished 3-1. But mustn't dwell anyway. Nathan Aspinall got the job done against Leonard Gase to win that set that he lost as well. So that's frustrating. And I also had Jim Williams to win with over 3.5 sets, obviously spurning 5 match starts against Paolo Nebrides. So it could have easily been a full house, but we won't be greedy. Profit is profit and gets us back on the good track. 8 games to go through today then, as mentioned. And we start with Chris Landman versus Lok. Talk about my anti-post round 1 bet I put up on our big preview show. We're 3 out of 3 on those at the moment. Can we go 4 out of 4? Time will tell. I fancy Lok Yin Lee to make this competitive, so I actually put him up anti-post to win a set. That price has stayed strong, 17-20 for over 3.5 sets in this game, and Lok Yin Lee to win it is 5-1. I'm going to have a half point on that just in case. Lok Yin Lee, the World Cup teammate of Man Lok Lung, who you may remember ripping up Ali Pali last year. He stunned Gian Van Veen 3-2, one of the big sort of dark horses last year, dumped out by Lok Lung, who hit 11 180s, which I believe is a record for a first round match. He was dazzling that day. And this is his World Cup teammate who represents Hong Kong this year, Lok Yin Lee. Probably not as Lung, but he's certainly a talented player. I liked what I saw of him at the World Cup. I liked what I've seen of him, clips from his Asian Tour performances. And I think he can push Chris Landman here. Chris Landman's somebody I respect. WDF World Championship finalist last year. Very solid player on the Pro Tour. Made a Pro Tour final in 2023, but he hasn't had the best of years. I think he made a semi-final on the floor. Maybe he played Championship 28 or 29. That was only the 3rd time he's been beyond the 3rd round this year in 30 events. So not had a good year by his own standards. Went out in round 1 in Minehead. So he's maybe a little bit out of practice on the big stage. And as much as he won on his Ali Pali debut a couple of years ago, he lost his second round match to Ian Wright, and he posted averages of 87 and 83, I think, in that showing, which I think is, attainable for Lee. I think Lok Yin Lee will fancy his chances of posting a mid-80s average. We've seen the Asian players give good account of themselves already. Asamoto pushed Plaisir to 5 sets. I thought Zhong from China was very unlucky in defeat as well. So I generally think these Asian players are a little bit underrated in the market. I'm going to take him to win a set. Well, I'm going to take over 3.5 sets. I can't see 3-0 Lok Yin Lee, but obviously if that did land, the half point on the 5-1 would cover us there. But yeah, over 3.5 sets the main bet. That's a 2-point win bet. And Lok Yin Lee to win a very small half point at 5-1 there in the opener. Next up, Callan Rydz takes on Romeo Grbavac of Croatia, and I'm going to see if I can snap this streak of 3-0s finishing 3-1. So you know what to do, really. You should back the 3-1. You'd be absolutely rolling in profit if you'd backed all my 3-0s to be 3-1s this week. But we'll continue trying. I think 9-4 is a little bit big for Rydz to win this 3-0. He's not had the best of years by his own admission, but he does generally bring his best to Alexandra Palace. Obviously, a quarter-final run a couple of years ago. Things haven't gone all that well for him since in his career. But I think if you look at his Ali Pali performances in the last couple of years, he generally gives a good showing of himself. Yes, he was beaten 3-0 by Josh Rock a couple of years ago, but no shame in that, really. Rock's a class operator, as we know, and one of the dark horses for this tournament. And then last year as well, posting a good solid 97 average up on the stage, and then losing a close run thing as well. So I do think Rydz brings his best to this kind of occasion, and I'm not all that convinced on Grbavac. He was quite impressive at the World Cup alongside Boris Kuchma for Croatia, but I don't really like his throwing action. It's a little bit jerky and twitchy, and I think I question whether it'll hold up all that well under pressure. I suppose he is the underdog and he can take a bit of a free swing at this, but I think Rydz at sort of 75% wins this match quite comfortably. Grbavac played on the Euro Tour 3 times this year, lost on the first round each time. Gave a good account of himself against Wessel Nijman, to be fair, in a 6-5 defeat, but the other two were quite comfortable. He's been playing on the Motor Super Series a little bit in the last few weeks, and that is normally a pretty good warm-up for players, but yeah, I just can't really get myself with Grbavac here. I think the 9-4 is probably about a half point too big for Rydz to win 3-0. So we'll see. I've not had much luck with these 3-0s, as I say, but hopefully that ends here with Rydz to win 3-0. The next match is Martin Ljungman. He takes on Nitin Kumar, who is making his 4th appearance at Alexandra Palace. And as you can see, this is a no-bet game for me, this Ljungman. Something like a 1-25 favourite to win this game, 1.04 in decimal terms. So it's a little bit reminiscent of the game between Jeffrey de Graaf and Rashad Suic the other night, where de Graaf was 1-50 to win it and 4-9 to win it 3-0, and then Suic won the first set. So you just don't know with these sort of completely unranked players. I mean, Kumar is a little bit more exposed than Suic, admittedly. He's been to Ali Pali 3 times. He's lost 3-0 every time, so he's not won a set. I know Connor, my Darts Now colleague, put up on the big preview for Kumar to win a set. He thinks that he can win a set here against Ljungman, but I'm in no rush to take Ljungman on, really. I think he's had a fantastic year himself, made the Grand Slam final, obviously, where he was spanked by Luke Littler, but his run to that final, he was exceptional. I'm sure he'll quietly fancy himself of going on a bit of a deep run here, because he's not got the worst draw in the world. And he's a dangerous man to try and take on, but at the prices, like I say, these first round games, you don't want to be taking massive odds on about somebody winning 3-0, because it is a unique situation. And Kumar, he hasn't disgraced himself on some of his appearances. I mean, he averaged 90 odd in his 3-0 loss to Brendan Dolan. He won 3 or 4 legs off Dizwan. So, you know, he's building the experience all the time as well. He's a very solid player on the Asian Tour, regularly averaging sort of high 80s, low 90s. So, yeah, I'm just going to give this game a pass. The final game of the afternoon sees Gabriel Clemens take on Robert Owen, and there's a bit of money for Robert Owen to cause the upset here, but I'm actually going to side with the out of form, admittedly, Clemens, who I just think has too much experience on the World Championship stage for somebody like Owen. Robert Owen did really well to battle past Neil Zonneveld in what was a tight affair, a game where we were with Zonneveld, and I was impressed by the way he did it, but Owen has been knocking around the tour for the best part of a decade now, and you can count the amount of times he's beaten somebody of Clemens' stature on a big stage on one hand. So this is a completely different test for him. Now, Clemens may be feeling the nerves a little bit because he's not had a great year. He's gone out of that top 32. He really does need to win a few games here. Obviously, the prize money here is just fantastic compared to anywhere else. So, like, you're winning around 10 grand, 12 grand for a game, which is the equivalent of winning a Pro Tour. So, in terms of your ranking, when you're floating in and around that top 32, winning a few games at Ali Pali can make all the difference across the year. So I'm sure he's putting a bit of pressure on himself. I would like to think Clemens has been on the practice board a lot in the last month. And I think Robert Owen, I think he'd probably rather be playing Robert Owen than Zonneveld, who has a higher ceiling, I would say. No discredit to Owen, but I just think Clemens is class. Former semi-finalist here not so long ago. Yes, he's not in a great moment, but I think he'll have too much for his opponent here. -1.5 sets is even money, which I thought was really fair. I was expecting more like 4 to 6. But as I say, there's been money for Owen, probably because of Clemens' poor year and also because of Owen's efforts against Zonneveld. But I've just not seen enough from Robert Owen over the course of his career to think he's going to back this up. And I'm going to back Clemens to get the job done 3-0 or 3-1 at even money. On to the evening session then, and Nick Kenny takes on Stowe Buntz in the opener. This is one of the tightest price games of the first round. Kenny is a warm favourite, according to recent money coming into the market. But just think that Buntz price has got out big enough for me to want to get involved here at 13-10. The American probably hadn't been seen much on British shores until he qualified for the Grand Slam last year, where he really, really impressed. Top to group with Peter Wright, Dave Chisnell and Stephen Bunting. And then he went on to win his last 16 game against Andrew Gilding as well. Only eventually stopped in the quarterfinals. So that was a very, very impressive run. And he came into the World Championship as one of the exciting players that people were really looking forward to seeing again. But he drew Kevin Dirt's first round. They opened up the tournament last year with the winner to play Michael Smith. And Dirt's did a job on Buntz 3-0. But I think he'll have learnt a lot from that Ali Pali debut. He'll be a lot more familiar with his surroundings. And we saw at the Grand Slam what a capable player he is. Nick Kenny has had a really good end to the year in terms of raw form, but I still think on the biggest of stages, we don't see his very best game enough. I think the fact that he's a favourite gives him a different mindset here. He knows that this is a big opportunity for him, but Buntz is a very dangerous opponent, I think, to be written off. And I think that I can see this game going very deep. I can see flashes of quality from both, but also a lot of grinding. And I wouldn't be surprised to see a 3-2 either way here. But I think at the prices, Buntz getting out to 2.3 or 13-10, that's worth a little point there. I think he's got a fair chance of winning this. I see it as a bit of a pick 'em. Is Mensur Suljovic taking on Matt Campbell, and I'm going to back 180s in this game quite aggressively, actually. I think there's a little bit of value there because these are two players who are very experienced on the Alexandra Palace stage. Matt Campbell obviously enjoying a good run last year to the third round where he eventually lost to Luke Littler. No shame in that. But in his 3 matches at Ali Pali last year, he plundered in 14 180s. So we do generally see the best version of the Canadian at this venue. He obviously rises to the challenge and feels very comfortable on that stage, which is also important. And then Mensur Suljovic, well, he's an experienced campaigner, isn't he? He's seen it all. But over the last couple of years, we've probably not seen the best version of Mensur. At the Grand Slam, which he managed to sneak into qualification for via his World Cup of Darts exploits, he went out in the group stage. But I was particularly impressed with his scoring phase. He hit 3 180s in 7 legs against Michael Smith. He hit 3 180s in 9 legs against Jermaine Watamina. And then at the Players' Championship finals, he lost 6-5 to Wesley Price here. But again, 4 180s in just 10 legs. So his scoring phase appears to be in very good form, particularly on the television and the big stage. So combine these two together, I was a little bit surprised to see the overs on the 180 line at 5.5. Now, providing we get over 3 sets here, which I think we will, that must have a great chance of landing. And I wouldn't be all that surprised if this is a game that goes to a final 5th set. And that brings me the over 7.5 180s line into play at 3-1 for me. So I'm going to have a 2-point win bet on the over 5.5s and a 1 point on the over 7.5s. That is 3-1 with BoyleSports. Just because I think there's a chance that both of these two, if they repeat the TV form that we've seen from them previously, this could be a bit of a scoring fest, maybe with some dodgy doubling to complement it. But yeah, that's the way I'm seeing that one. So quite a big game for me in terms of a punt there. We'll see how we get on. The penultimate game of the evening, well, this could be an absolute cracker, couldn't it? Scott Williams taking on Niko Springer, the German, who anyone who's watched my content before will know someone I rate really, really highly, one of the stars of the future, I think. I'm really looking forward to seeing him on the tour full-time next year. Could have won a tour card much earlier, Springer, but opted to sort of finish his education and now dedicating himself to darts. He has masses of talent, as I say, and a very exciting player and a big 180 hitter. And he comes up against one of the great stage 180 hitters, the showman Scott Williams, who returns to Ali Pali after his triumphant run to the semi-finals last year. I don't think anybody forecasted that. Dumped out Michael van Gerwen, Damon Heta and the likes along the way as well. He was brilliant shaggy last year, and I'm sure he'll be looking forward to getting back to Ali Pali. But this is about the hardest first-round draw I think either of these two could have got. Real shame. I think I'd have been a backer of Springer in virtually any other game. Plenty of money coming for him today. Williams has been a pretty solid favourite in all the build-up, but I'm not surprised to see a late rush of money coming for Springer as the sort of data drivers dig into what he's done on his limited PDC appearances. The talent is there for all to see. I think this could be a classic. Over 4.5 sets is a no-brainer for me at 9-5. I do really think that I worry about Springer's ability to get over the line against someone of Williams' experience, and I think Williams brings his best for the big stage, but I do think Springer will rise to the occasion. There'll be a strong German contingent here today, some backing Clemens in the afternoon, and they'll be hanging around. You can bet to get behind what I think could be the best prospect ever to come out of Germany. And that's a big statement, but I really do think he's got the ability. Whether he'll transfer it to the Ali Pali stage on debut, we shall see. But I think he's a man for the big occasion. I'm expecting fireworks here, and this one to go all the way at 9-5 looks worth a dabble. The last game of Thursday is Michael Smith up against Kevin Dutz, and I'm afraid to say this is a no-bet game for me because I just want to see a little bit more of Smith before I get too stuck in. Of course, these two met last year at this same stage, and Dirts pushed Smith all the way, averaging 99 in a 3-2 defeat. It was a very dodgy start to the tournament for Smith, but I thought he navigated it really, really well. A lot of question marks coming into him into the tournament last year, and the same ones remain this year. But having seen what he said to Wayne Mardle on Club 501 recently, he still seems to have that determination to get more world titles. He basically explained that last year he just took a year off, basically had 7 or 8 holidays, enjoyed being a world champion, and he only feels like he's just getting back to somewhere near his best. So if that is right, given he's in that quarter 3, which looks absolutely wide open, he must have a great chance of going deep here. But Dirts, it was a slow start against Van Leuven, but that was his banana skin, wasn't it? That was the game that he had to just find a way through and navigate, and I thought he did it well, kept his composure, won it 3-1. Van Leuven gave him a little bit to think about as well, but he, as I say, dealt with it, and I think he'd be relishing taking on Michael Smith here. So I'm expecting Smith to win. I'm expecting Dirts to get a set. Yeah, that would be kind of how I see the game going. But do I want to play it with any conviction in terms of a bet? I don't. So I'm just going to give this one a watching brief, enjoy it. Last game of the night. Hopefully we'll be tossed into a few winners by this point anyway. So just before I go, I will summarise my best bets. It is a busy day for me at the World Championship. Let's hope there's some winners to come. So a 2-point win bet on the first game of the afternoon, which is over 3.5 sets in Landman and Lee. So both players to get a set effectively. That is just shy of evens with Quinn Bet. I'm having a half point on Lok Yin Lee to win at 5-1 as well. Just think he's got a little bit more chance than the market suggests. A point on Callan Rydz to beat Romeo Grbavac 3-0 at 9-4. Not had much luck with those 3-0s, but hopefully that will turn today. And then Gabriel Clemens minus 1.5 sets against Robert Owen to double your money. That's just a point win. Into the evening, I'm going to take Stowe Buntz at the prices to beat Nick Kenny at 13-10. Again, that's a 1-point bet. And then I'm going quite hard on the Suljovic Campbell game for 180s. I'm going to back 2 points over 5.5 180s, which will lock in a profit on the match. And then I'm going to have a speculative point on over 7.5 180s. I think that the rhythm, the stage form of these two just suggests to me that we could be seeing a bit of a maximum fest. So we shall see how that one pans out. And then my final bet of the night is over 4.5 sets in Scott Williams, Niko Springer. That one to go all the way. Then I think that will be one of the games of the first round. And a cracking day of action. Let me know what you're backing. Let me know your thoughts on my selections. And I hope you're enjoying our content from the World Championship. Stick around. We'll be back tomorrow to run through Friday's action at Ali Pali. Have a good one.